From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner. Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Okay, good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, June 22nd, 9 a.m. meeting of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. We'll begin today's meeting with a flag salute led by Supervisor Mike Maggard. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, please stay standing for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer. Please rise with me. Salute. Next, I would like to call on Nick Cullen, Director of the Animal Services Department, to introduce our Pet of the Week.
Good morning.
How's it going today, Nick?
Good. This is Maisie. This vicious creature that I have in my right hand is Maisie, and I do say vicious because she thinks that she's vicious. She's attacking me and everybody else this morning. But she's a kitten. She's about 7 weeks old. Actually, the kitten that we had originally chosen this morning, his name was Tippy. He got adopted this morning. So Maisie was a last-second replacement, and she's just as cute. She's available for foster right now until she's 8 weeks of age, and then we can process a permanent adoption for somebody that's willing to allow their fingers to be chewed on and feet probably to be attacked.
Oh, that's too funny. So Nick, we don't see a lot of cats down here. Do we have quite a few more dogs than cats coming in, or is it pretty well balanced? Or?
So we always have kittens, especially now, this is kitten season, but I usually opt to bring dogs simply because I don't trust cats in front of the lights and cameras. But our foster program saves thousands of cats a year, so anybody interested in fostering some kittens can come see us at the Kern County Animal Shelter.
Awesome. Well, thank you for bringing it down today, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is that a Kevlar vest underneath your vest?
It is. You don't know it, but I need it too. Yes.
The cat may have just been adopted. Was that a little word there?
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit out of order. First, I'd like to welcome everybody to back to the public meeting at the board chamber at full seating capacity. Public comment protocols put in place during the COVID-19 pandemic have now been lifted. Persons wishing to address the board on a specific agenda item or provide general public comment under public presentations are invited to attend the meeting in person and provide their comments in person. As always, emailed comments received prior to the meeting are provided to all board members and applicable staff for review and consideration by the board prior to taking action on any matters listed on the agenda and are incorporated into the official record of the board meeting. So first, I would like to go to item number 2 under resolutions and proclamations. And this is proclaiming June 21st through the 25th as National Boys and Girls Club Week in Kern County and commemorating the 55th anniversary of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Kern County. I believe Supervisor Perez's Field Representative Christian Roma will be making the presentation, but before that, is there anybody in the public wishing to speak to this item? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Thank you. The motion is approved. 3 ayes, 2 absent, Supervisor Perez and Supervisor Scribner.
Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Romo.
Yeah, your eyes are not Supervisor Perez. My name is Christian Romo. I'm the field representative for Supervisor Perez, representing the 5th District. And it is my honor today to proclaim June 21st, 2021 through June 25th, 2021 as National Boys and Girls Club Week here in Kern County, while also commemorating the 55th anniversary of the Boys and Girls Club here in Kern County. So very exciting stuff. Here I have Barry Hill and associates with me from the Boys and Girls Club of Kern County. And Kern County is extremely fortunate to have the Boys and Girls Club provide professional youth services to over 9,000 young people here in Kern County each year. We're proud to have the Armstrong Center on Niles Street in the 5th District, which holds a special place in our heart, of course, because they service tons of people that live and work in the 5th District. We also have the Lamont Clubhouse and the Southwest Bakersfield Clubhouse, as well as many other campus-based clubs that provide services at schools all over Kern County. The club provides programs to ensure that every young person has the skills they need to graduate high school and be well prepared in life and work. We actually have a Boys and Girls Club intern right here, Jasmine, and every year our office, minus COVID, we won't count that year, as we don't for many things, has an intern from the Boys and Girls Club in our office where we intern them and show them, what we do here. Lots of exciting stuff. Right, Jasmine? Yeah. And the programs offer, a life-based, focused on 5 core areas from the Boys and Girls Club, which is character and leadership, education and career development, health and life skills, the arts and sports, fitness and recreation. They just are a blessing in our office every year when we have them. We love to partner on multiple occasions for any event we could do with the Boys and Girls Club because these kids are the best we have in Kern County. And I would also like to add that this is a very special moment for their 55th anniversary, which is something we should all be excited about. And the clubs didn't close during the pandemic. Much like everything else, everything shut down and had to keep, figuring out how to do things virtual. But the Boys and Girls Club did not close down. They continued to feed and educate children throughout the county, which is very exciting. So I want to just congratulate the Boys and Girls Club and all the young people that you guys serve. Happy 55th anniversary. And Mr. Hill, this is for you. Let me take a quick picture. Come on, it's been a while since we did one of these. That's awesome. Nice to appreciate
it. Okay. I just want to first thank the Board of Supervisors for this recognition of Boys and Girls Club Week. I'd also like to introduce Maggie Cushine and Linda Solinger as part of the Boys and Girls Club team that makes all of this wonderful stuff happen. We are, like was spoken about, we did not shut down. Our community and our kids needed us. Schools weren't open. A lot of things weren't open. We continued to shift. We went from serving 900 meals a day to the first day that when everything shut down to serving over 4,000 kids meals every single day. We had when schools went virtual, our clubs were open. We provided the internet and the computers and all of the tools necessary. So for a few hundred kids each day, our kids were able to stay connected, and that's what it was about. Boys and Girls Club Week is going to be different than probably anything. This is kind of our first normal Boys and Girls Club Week we've had in a few years, and so to have this recognition is appreciated, and it's going to motivate our staff and our team and our kids, and so I want to thank you for this recognition. We are celebrating 55 years, so it's an exciting time. Zane and I have been there over 25 years now, so Zane will be celebrating, I think, that on July 1st. So we'll have a small celebration for him as well, but lots of great things planned. This is our biggest summer ever. We found out, our community and our kids wanted to be in person. So right now, today, and at 7 a.m., we're operating 7 summer day camps, everywhere from Bakersfield, obviously, all the way out to Lost Hills, Frazier Park, and Kernville. And then we're gearing up for the school year. We're partnering with 13 different school districts, and we'll be operating 67 after-school programs, and we're projected to see about 8,000 kids per day. So, again, this recognition, sometimes we don't bang our drum loud enough and shout to the rooftops all the work that's being done. But it's recognition like this that allows us to get out in front and share the good work that really our kids deserve. So thank you, and hopefully you guys can make it out. I think on Friday there'll be an invitation sent out for a quick celebration at the Armstrong Youth Center to celebrate our 55 years and to kind of conclude our Boys and Girls Club Week. So thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment. And you guys do a lot of good for the community, so appreciate you coming down. And Jasmine, if Christian gives you a hard time over there, you can come hide out in the District 1 office.
Perfect.
Mr. Chairman, can I just make a short comment? Barry, thank you very much. I spent some time with you guys, and it gave me a whole new appreciation for what you do. And you, frankly, I don't think a lot of people even know, have you become the largest Boys and Girls Club in the country?
We
Serving
we
the
open up
most
to
students?
67, yeah, most locations and most students per day, absolutely.
That's outstanding. You guys have done incredible. So thank you to Maggie, and thank you to Linda for helping us set up a little pickleball program out in Lamont. The kids really enjoyed it, but thank you, Linda, very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next we will consider the consent agenda. All items listed with a CA above the items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If a member of the public wishes to comment or ask questions regarding an item on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to the vote being taken. A member of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be considered in listed sequence, with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. A member of the public may also comment on any closed session item. At this time, I will read the consent agenda item numbers, and that is items 1, 3, 4, 7, and 8 on page 2. Items 9 through 15 on page 3. 16 through 19 and 21 through 23 on page 4. 24 through 29 on page 5. 30 through 37 on page 6, 38 through 45 on page 7, and item 46 on page 8. And I'd also like to note that item number 44 under the Sheriff's Office has been withdrawn and will not be considered today. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak regarding the consent agenda? Okay, would any of the members of the board like an item removed for discussion?
Motion on consent.
Second.
Okay, please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 absent, Supervisor Perez.
Our next item is number 5, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask a question for clarification, make a referral to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct the staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name before making your presentations. Madam Clerk, I understand there's a voicemail that we were going to hear.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. So we no longer will be accepting voice messages. However, we did receive, after your last board meeting on June 8th, we did receive a voice message, and in consulting with County Council and CAO, it was decided that we should play that message today because it was received before the governor lifted his orders. So we are going to hear a voice message from Lisa Pollard regarding EBT cards. I also want to let your board know that when we received this voicemail, we did forward this to the Department of Human Services and to Aging and Adult Services. So the departments are handling the caller's request, but I did want to go ahead and play that for your board, make it part of the record.
Great, thank you.
Hi, this is Lisa, middle initial K, last name Pollard, Pollard. I have 2 minutes to address this. I spoke with the Human Services Department regarding EBT cards, and I learned from my mother going on 98, she cannot spend that money on hot food. I also heard years ago for homeless people, they couldn't purchase for hot food. So to make sense of it, I'm sure there's a good reason, but please address at this time as a loving daughter taking care of my mother and also have the same need. We can learn a lot from COVID-19 to really address a more meaningful usage of that card for those that aren't cooking anymore, and our elderly can have a variety of food if they get something that they would like, their favorite hamburger. Thank you. And my second point with the EBT cards, for those that don't have internet or can afford it, we need to be able to stay independent and to be able to use that card and the opportunities that we have that everybody else has to be able to order groceries or hot food and get it delivered, but we're not able to use that EBT card unless it's directly to the grocer. So I'm sure there's a reason for that. Again, to make sense of it all, this is a good time to address it. I was told by the Human Services that it's voted by the Board of Supervisors. So I called today because of, I was told by the mayor's office. I started with her for the direction of our community, what we'd like to see for our futures, especially for those that really need it and that can be trickled down to whoever else needs it, not just the homeless.
Okay, thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the board?
Good morning, Chairman Peters and Board of Supervisors. My name is Francisco Martinez. I've been a Kern County worker for 18 years. I am a CPS social service worker. I live in District 2, and I am a proud member of SEIU 521. The CAO made the following statement at a May 25th Board of Supervisors meeting, quote, I will say with regards to SEIU and seeing no increases in wages and stagnant compensation, again, I would say that offering employees a regular COLA is something that I think it is important and we need to do. I like that the CAO is publicly acknowledging that county workers have not received across-the-board salary increases since the expiration of the 2007-2009 MOU. That's 13 years. I think this is a terrible reality which impacts the services to the most vulnerable in our community. But this is where the great disconnect manifests itself. Some Board of Supervisors have refused to meet with SEIU members because they feel this should only be addressed during contract negotiations every 2 years. But we've been without a contract since October 31st of 2019. That's 1 year and 8 months. If not now, when? If you are not willing to meet with SEIU members, then I can understand why you will not want to meet with a child in foster care, or a woman trying to escape an abusive relationship, or a young person trying to escape a life of human trafficking, or a homeless person trying to obtain benefits for the first time, or a person with mental illness trying to seek treatment, et cetera, et cetera. Providing a just compensation to county workers who provide services to the most vulnerable in our community is not mutually exclusive. In conclusion, the Board of Supervisors cannot actually believe that, quote, seeing no wage increases and stagnant compensation, unquote, is not affecting those services to the most vulnerable in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have our next speaker, please?
No hablo inglés. Sí. Buenos días. Mi nombre es Ana Arias. Vengo de la ciudad de Delano. Tengo más de 40 años viviendo en Delano. Tengo 15 años tratando a los homeless de la calle. Y sé que usted, señor David Koch, está tratando de abrir un lugar. Y no nos parece bien como.
My name is Ana Arias, and I have 40 years, right, living in this area.
Pues no me parece bien, por el perdón, no nos parece bien el lugar que está tratando de abrir para ellos, porque es un lugar inadecuado. Allí están los niños inocentes y además no caben. Repartimos.
We're not in support of the building or the location of the homeless project that's going to be in Delano. We don't feel that it's an adequate building and it puts the clients there at risk.
Repartimos 100 lunches 4 veces por semana.
We give out 100 lunches 4 times a week.
Entonces, allí no cabrían las personas. Son personas diferentes. Hay más de 100.
We don't think that the people belong in that building. They're very different, and there's more than 100
Además,
homeless.
es peligroso. Esos niños inocentes corren peligro con esa gente allí que no tiene educación.
It's very dangerous for the children in the program to have the building being used for the homeless center.
Así que queremos un lugar permanente que les dé ayuda física, espiritual y psicológicamente para que esa gente se reintegre.
We're looking for a program that's going to be more long-term, that's going to help the homeless with psychological evaluations and give them the support that they need in order to improve their lives.
Quisiera que usted, señor David Koch, se pusiera su manita en su corazón y viera por ellos si se pudiera unir con nosotros en el pueblo de Delano y nos diera su presupuesto también para poder hacer eso realidad en Delano.
David Couch, I would like you to put your hand on your heart and to feel with your heart and be in unity with the community of Delano to work together for a program and to give us what your proposal is, to work with us, to do something meaningful.
Es una lástima ver cómo están esos pobrecitos. Hay una palabra de Dios que dice así.
It's very sad to see how the homeless are, and there's the word of God that says,
las aves tienen sus nidos, las zorras sus madrigueras, pero el Hijo del Hombre no tiene dónde recostar su cabeza. Allí está Él.
saying that the birds have nests and the animals all have a place, but the man does not even have a place to lay his head.
Yo he visto maravillas. Dios me ha dado licencia de ver cómo se ha reintegrado gente con lo poquito que nosotros hacemos.
So I have seen miracles with the help that we're able to give to the homeless, and we're expecting to do more with this program.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have our next speaker, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alex Dinsing, D-I-N-S-I-N-G. I come to you with this concern regarding the homeless center that's going to be located at the DADD. I have a child who attends that program. She's been attending that program since she was 22, so basically 10 years. My concern is that in September of 2020, there was an article that was placed in the Bakersfield Californian indicating that the Board of Supervisors approved funding for the homeless center in Delano. It was placed in the article. A friend mentioned it to me, and so I read it. Well, it was going to be housed in the location that my daughter attends her program. Not once have we ever heard this. I contacted the director of the program. He indicated that yes, that it was approved by the board of members and by him. And my issue is there's several individuals that attend that program. Basically from 7:30 to basically 4:30 every day. And my issue is that why weren't the parents involved in this whole issue? Mr. Couch, you indicated that in your comments, in your corner, that we should commend Mr. Gutierrez for thinking outside of the box and allowing the program to be there. Well, he has continuously told us lies. He's been very deceitful. He's not transparent. The board is not transparent. All this was approved in November of 2019. He barely sent us a letter informing us in October of 2020, almost a whole year, and only because I contacted him in September. My issue is, why aren't we being transparent? We've had townhouse meetings. It's being said I'm the only complaining parent. I am not. I am not. I request a meeting personally, a personal meeting with you, the stakeholders, Mr. Wheeler,
Bring your
Gutierrez.
comments to a close, please. You're pretty well over the time limit.
I would like to have a meeting, if you don't mind, with yourself, Mr. Gutierrez, the board members of the DADD, and with Mr. Wheeler. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. We have our next speaker, please.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask for Ms. Densing to leave her contact information with, I may have it, but I want to make sure that I do, with Mr. Alsop right there, the gentleman waving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Yolanda Chacon-Serna, and I'm coming here today on behalf of the Delano Guardians, representing Delano constituents and many families of the DAD clients. I'm here to let you know that there are more risks involved for these clients because they were born with vulnerable immune systems and they have been sick their whole life. A common cold to you could be very risky to them. And has anybody talked to a physician to see if this is a safe place? We need separate spaces for the separate projects and programs. The DAD clients are very vulnerable and they need to be, even if they're gonna clean, as Mr. Mike Gutierrez assured, they're going to clean and have blue lights, ultraviolet lights. That is not gonna secure the safety of these clients who are very vulnerable and have very vulnerable immune systems. What liability risks do they take every day in their lives now? Their parents always being careful for everywhere they take them. Who's going to assure them of that? Has anybody spoken to a medical professional to find out if this is a safe thing to do? You know, and besides that, to let the homeless out at midnight, to where? We want a meaningful program. We support the homeless population, but we definitely support the most vulnerable who are not even capable of speaking for themselves. Some of them don't have the ability to speak and are immobile. They can't tell you how they feel. And the parents knowing at the last minute, what are they gonna do? There are no other options. And you know, we do want a meeting with you, Supervisor Couch, and we have not heard many parents that spoke up at the town hall. They shared their concerns. We have not heard that you have asked the city, are there other adequate buildings, a more adequate building to get a longer term program? We know that this money is temporary, but how could we get grants if it's just a temporary program? Once again, I want to say these clients' lives are not temporary, and it's putting them at risk. And I just want to leave that with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we have our next speaker, please?
Good morning, Chair and Board of Supervisors. My name is Brian Osorio, current mayor of the city of Delano. I'm usually calling, but I'm presenting today on two items, which are one, to show my support for SEIU 521 and UDW, and to ask for a fair contract. Public workers in Kern County have always been essential to our community, especially our most vulnerable community members. And now as we work towards a recovery, it's even important that we prioritize investment in critical services, which means investing in our county workers. They've chosen Kern County to live in, to work in, and to raise their families in, and they deserve dignity and respect for their hard work and contributions. They provide social services, behavioral health services, public health services, and these are critical services that the city of Delano does not provide. And so I ask you to please consider a fair contract for them. And the second point is Ms. Ana Arias, who spoke here earlier. She has a long history of helping our houseless community to address homelessness piece by piece. And so they have expressed concerns with the location. I think that we all are in agreement that we need a navigation center, but there are some critical gaps that they want to see addressed. So if we can work towards that and having more conversations on this, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have our next speaker, please?
Hello, my name is Veronica Vasquez, V-A-S-Q-U-E-Z. I'm SEIU 521 Kern County Chapter President, and I'm also the Vice Mayor of the City of Delano. I'm going to start off in regards to my SEIU issue. SEIU Local 521 members have been working to achieve a successor MOU that recognizes the need for investment in Kern County workers and the community for almost 2 years. I am here before you today to express the frustration of thousands of county employees who are asking this board to be leaders and do the right thing and address the 13 years of stagnant wages. The last time we all received a cost of living adjustment was back in 2007. While that cost of living has continued to rise, our wages and salaries have not. Let's take a look at how things have risen here in California since 2007. In 2007, the average cost of regular gallon of gas was $2.61. In 2021, the cost has risen to $4.08 per gallon. In 2008, the average gallon of milk was $3.15. In 2021, it has risen to $3.65 per gallon. In 2007, the fair market cost for a one-bedroom apartment here in Bakersfield was $542. By the way, it's more expensive in Delano. In 2021, that cost has risen to $1,150. Our living expenses have continued to rise, but our wages have not. Instead of advancing and continuing to have financial stability for ourselves and our families, we have gone backwards, have had several workers who have shown me their pay stubs. Since 2007, they actually make less. I ask you, the Board of Supervisors, how does this make sense? At a previous meeting, Board of Supervisor, we heard from Supervisor Perez, who asked workers to have patience and expressed that the county is working as diligently and humanly possible to bring an offer to the table. Well, here we are to report to you today that we still have not returned to the bargaining table. In fact, it has been a little over 2 months since we had any meaningful dialogue with the county regarding our last proposal. In fact, even though your Board of Supervisors approved a preliminary spending plan for APR monies, including a pot of money for premier pay for essential workers, we still do not have a full proposal on what we need as county workers to continue and provide essential public services.
Could you please bring your comments to a close?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I need one more paragraph because I'm going to give you some paperwork. The Board of Supervisors is not bargaining in good faith. This is not how you work as diligent and human possible. Today, I deliver you a copy of the unfair labor practice we have filed against the County of Kern for bargaining in bad faith. You can read the details for yourself and see our various attempts to come to an agreement that is for a fair contract.
Thank you.
Here you go. And I would like to thank my Delano people that they came here today to actually voice their concern in regards to the homeless center. And Mr. Couch, I hope you will finally come to a city council meeting and give my community the respect that they deserve.
The next speaker, please.
Good morning, board. My name is Tania, T-A-N-I-A, Salinas, S-A-L-I-N-A-S. For the last 13 years, we have seen many changes within our workforce and community. We have seen inflation rise along with the cost of living. We have seen many of you retire and come into public service. We have seen funds come into the county to build projects, reduce deficit expenditures, offset revenue loss. Most recently, the CARES and ARP fund. Yet one thing that has not changed is our stagnant public sector county wages. Many of us have sat at our kitchen tables wondering how we're going to pay our bills, own a home, get our children through college, retire, because we're barely surviving, not thriving. Many of us counting our pennies and making sacrifices that we should not make. Many talented employees leave because they cannot afford to stay. Yet we continue to do and love our work even at times of uncertainty and stress, because we are public servants who each day we get up in the morning and advocate for this community of ours we call home. Because that's our job. For many of us, our calling in society. Negotiations are on the table, and for the first time in many years, the funds are available within the general fund. We just need to sit together and jointly find the solutions to take care of our common goals, our community, and your community needs. We respectfully ask that you, as our employers who got into public office to advocate for your community at large, advocate for us, do right by us, your public employees, your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we get our next speaker, please?
Hello, my name is Neil Sinapa. I am a resident of District Number 3. I'm here to ask that the county provide a fair contract for our county workers. 13 years is just too long. And we truly need to show that we care about our essential workers, which all of these folks with SEIU are those people. It doesn't make sense to me that these relief funds are coming in and there isn't an active approach by all of you, by the Board of Supervisors, to make sure that that happens. And these folks have been working diligently, and if we continue on this course, I mean, we're continuing on a course that is a race to the bottom. These folks can go to other counties and get higher wages than they do here in Kern County, but because they love this county, they have stayed here and they have worked here, they have raised their families here, and I think it only makes sense that you recognize that by giving them a fair contract and increasing their wages. Thank you.
Could we have our next speaker, please?
Buenos días a todos. Ahorita todavía no sé inglés, pero estamos en eso, ¿verdad? Miren, nosotros aquí...
Good day, everybody. I don't know English yet, but I'm working on it.
Gloria Macías.
Gloria Macías.
Vivo en Delano, gracias a Dios, hace 20 años.
I live in Delano more than 20 years.
Y en el tiempo que he estado viviendo ahí, yo he mirado que ha subido las personas indigentes que necesitan de nuestro apoyo.
In the time that I've lived there, I've seen that the homeless population has grown and they need our support.
Y como residente de allí de Delano, hemos reunido más de 311 firmas que están de acuerdo en que haya una casa permanente para nuestros hermanos indigentes.
And I have here petitions for Mr. Couch that 311 signatures from community members in Delano who would like to see a permanent program for the homeless in the houseless in our community. Also, they have been working 15 years feeding the homeless 4 days a week. And so their heart is in it, and they would like you to take this into consideration with the plans of the program.
Yo pienso que por un error que cometió alguna persona, no podemos generalizarlos a todos, ¿verdad? Pero con ayuda de Dios y de toda la ayuda se pueden recuperar muchas personas, y pedimos pues que se pongan la mano en su corazón y pues los apoyen.
We know that sometimes people have mishaps in life, but we shouldn't judge all of them, and they do need support. Please feel with your heart what their needs are, that we can build a program that will give them the support that they need.
Con una casa permanente y digna para ellos, por favor.
A program that will be permanent and with dignity. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could we get our next speaker, please?
Good morning, Board. My name is Sandy Redding, S-A-N-D-Y-R-E-D-I-N-G. I live in District 1. I'm also an operating room nurse working locally through the pandemic and president of the California Nurses Association. And I'm here to speak in support of the essential workers. It's not just nurses that are essential. Working through the pandemic, I saw a lot of things. Some that caused moral distress, moral injury, and I think we can do better. We didn't have enough PPE, the appropriate amount of PPE, the type of PPE, personal protective equipment, and contact tracing. The way we learned if we were exposed are through our colleagues telling us, oh, I'm at home sick with COVID. So we need some funds to boost up the public health system, the county workers, and this is all critical. So I'm here to say that some of those 174 million, or however much funding that's coming through needs to go to fund public health, to fund the county workers, and to give them a fair contract so we can recruit and retain qualified personnel to support us in the hospital. And I thank all of you for wearing your masks, because this isn't over. This is an emotional topic for me, but I am laser focused on getting this pandemic under control. We have variants out there. And one of the single most effective ways to prevent the spread, and by the way, about 50% of the spread of the infection is by asymptomatic carriers. So I have 15 seconds left, and I would like to say that there's only about 55% of Californians that are fully vaccinated. That's only a part of the plan. So please, add the funding, support the essential workers, support the county workers, and give them a fair contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, please hold your applause. This is not the venue for it.
Hello, my name is Janine, Jeanine, last name Adams, Adams. I work at the Kern County Assessor's Office. I'm a real estate appraiser, and I live in Mr. Scrivener's district, District 2. I have spoke before the board about a month ago, asking the question, what has been your motivation with regard to this contract negotiation with SEIU? It's very difficult to understand. I'd like to ask you to think about, what were you doing 13 years ago? I will tell you, my son was in junior high. Now he is a teacher at elementary school and working on his master's. That's a lot of his life. Almost half of his life has passed during the time that this contract has not moved forward. Not only have the workers not received a cost of living increase, the individual departments have had their budgets squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. In fact, public record, let's see, what is it called? The Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. This is available on the Auditor Controller's website for anyone to look at, page 212. The assessor's office in 2011 had 102 FTE, full-time equivalent, and in the fiscal year ending 2020 had 75. A 25% reduction in the staffing on the department that defends and produces our tax roll. What is your motivation? I really don't understand it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Excuse me, again, this is not the venue for clapping or booing or anything else. We're just here to respectfully listen to this comment. So could we have our next speaker, please?
My name is Rico Mendez, Chief Elected Officer of SEIU Local 521. I'm really proud to stand here in front of these heroes and sheroes of the pandemic, essential workers, SEIU members. I've joined union members over the years and met with all of you except for Supervisor Phillips and watched how you've chosen to run Kern County. And I proudly represent workers in 17 County, giving me a unique perspective on Kern. I've learned much over the years working with our union members and community leaders here. We helped fight off the attempt, your attempt, to give away every public library in Kern to a shady for-profit company. Organized the state and co-wrote legislation to save Kern Medical when you tried to dismantle your own public health system and sell it off to private companies, putting Level 2 Trauma Center at risk. Watched you proudly pull funding from 2 local nonprofits because they support the movement for Black lives. Watch you send money back to the state because you prefer to lock people up rather than invest in rehabilitation and education. Watched as countless community advocates, essential workers came here to demand that you do better and put the community first, to no avail. Your leadership has made Kern County famous for all the wrong reasons. We boast the deadliest police force in the United States of America. We die over 5 years younger than those who live in Santa Clara and Marin. In Oildale, our life expectancy is 69, 11 years less than California average, and 15 years less for a baby born just 2 miles west of Oildale in a more affluent neighborhood. Public defenders are paid half of what Santa Clara County pays. High turnover, the lowest in the state. 1 in 4 children go hungry here in Kern, making us 50th out of 58 counties. No raises in over a decade. Kern's number 1. There's not a single county that can boast that. The list goes on and on. We will not be on the wrong side of history. Our demands are clear. Increased staffing in public defenders, probation, social work, public health, behavioral health, and wage increases so we can triage the staffing and turnover crisis this board has created that is hurting so many children and families in our beloved county. Ya basta. Enough is enough. We stand strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if this continues, we're going to have to ask people to leave the room. I've already given 2 warnings about this. Can we have our next speaker, please?
My name is Martin Higuera. I am a senior student here in Bakersfield. And first of all, you, David, you, Philip, about any of the people in
Sir,
Kern
this is a
County.
publicly broadcast meeting. Please.
I understand
control
what it
the
is.
language.
I'm not stupid. I know what this is, okay? And you're going to let me speak, okay? So, first of all, none of you are wearing masks in an ongoing pandemic. The audience, they're wearing masks. Give a shit about any of these people.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut you off right there. I've already asked you to quit swearing. This is publicly broadcast. Can we...
All right, so I'll stop. This year, Kern County had a $20 million budget surplus and received $174 million in federal relief. And where is all of this money going? I will tell you where it is not going. It's definitely not going to the at-risk seniors and children with special needs that are falling through the cracks. Like you guys are all allowing this to happen. Each of you white males, you're all upholding white supremacy. Don't laugh, David. This is not a laughing matter. Don't laugh. You are all upholding white supremacy, and it is disgusting. To our seniors, to our essential workers, you aren't making deals with them to give them the benefits they deserve. You aren't investing money to improve Kern County's infrastructure.
Okay, you're well over your time limit. Would you please wrap it up, bring it to a close?
Each of you are complicit, and it's disgusting.
Can we have our next speaker, please? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move now to item number 6, board member announcements and reports. And I would like to begin by asking Bryn Kerrigan, the Director of Kern County Public Health Services, to provide an update on the COVID-19 pandemic.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. There's been some substantial changes when it comes to COVID over the past 2 weeks. We've seen a significant decrease in the number of daily COVID-19 cases in Kern County. California Department of Public Health has specific guidance when it comes to data de-identification or protecting individuals' privacy. Specifically, this guidance has a rule of 11, meaning that we must have at least 11 cases in specific groups to be able to release detailed information. Because of the drop in daily cases and the rule of 11, starting this week, we will begin updating case data Monday, Wednesday, and Friday instead of daily. Although we have officially moved beyond the blueprint metrics tell us a lot about what COVID-19 transmission looks like in Kern County. This week, Kern County would have officially met yellow tier metrics. Specifically, our case rate is 1.4. Last week it was 2.2 per 100,000 people. Our testing positivity rate is down to 1.2%, when last week it was at 1.7%. And our health equity positivity rate was at 1.7% this week, which is equivalent to what it was last week. Now that we are beyond the blueprint, California is essentially reopened and life is starting to feel a lot like it did before COVID-19 with only minimal restrictions remaining. On June 15th, California updated its masking guidance. Essentially, masks are no longer required for those who are fully vaccinated, except in the following settings: public transit of any type, indoors in K through 12 schools, childcare, and other youth settings, healthcare settings, correctional facilities and detention centers, homeless shelters, and cooling centers. Masks continue to be required for those who are unvaccinated in indoor public settings and businesses. On June 17th, Cal OSHA, an agency that regulates businesses from the employment side, approved revisions to their emergency temporary standards governing workplace requirements related to COVID-19 prevention. The changes align with CDPH's masking guidance, allowing vaccinated employees to work mask-free in most situations and eliminate physical distancing requirements except for certain employees during outbreaks. Unvaccinated employees will still be required to wear masks while they are indoors, in shared workplace vehicles, or in employer-provided transportation. These changes also remove COVID-19 testing requirements and workplace exclusion following contact with a COVID-19 positive person for fully vaccinated employees. We are starting to see a shift in the COVID-19 vaccination infrastructure from a temporary mass vaccination infrastructure to a more permanent vaccination infrastructure, similar to what we see with most other vaccines, like the flu vaccine. The state recently published an All Facilities Letter, or AFL, which is a regulation for healthcare facilities. This AFL follows a CDC recommendation that all general, acute, and psychiatric hospitals offer COVID-19 vaccines to patients prior to discharge, including in the emergency room. This helps by adding a convenience factor to getting vaccinated when you are already being seen by a healthcare provider for another reason. This also helps add a stable, long-term approach to COVID-19 vaccination moving forward. Additionally, we are working with many pediatrician offices to become approved vaccination providers. Now that the COVID vaccine can be administered along with other vaccinations, as we approach back-to-school immunization season, having the COVID vaccine at the time our youth are receiving other services adds a convenience factor to getting vaccinated. The Fairgrounds Mass Vaccination Clinic has been such an efficient and effective way to administer vaccination to a large number of people quickly. With the help of the county's Emergency Operations Center and many staff from various county departments, we have successfully administered 87,676 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine at this site to date. While our busiest week demanded the administration of more than 10,000 vaccinations, currently we are administering less than 1,500 per week. Because of this decrease in demand and as a way to achieve operational efficiencies, the department will be moving the vaccination operations into the Public Health Services Building effective July 5th, 2021. This also allows the department the opportunity to deploy nursing teams into the community to expand our mobile pop-up COVID-19 vaccine clinics located conveniently within neighborhoods. The fairgrounds site will remain available to us should the demand for vaccine increase to capacities greater than can be managed within our own building. As of yesterday, 603,770 doses have been administered to Kern County residents, with 288,164 people having completed their vaccination series. Another 54,611 people have received one dose of their two-dose series, meaning 45.5% of our eligible population is either partially or fully vaccinated. 64.1% of our 65 and older population has completed their vaccination series and are fully vaccinated. 14,367 doses have been administered to our adolescents 12 to 15 years of age. 5,243 have completed their vaccination series, and another 3,881 have received one of their 2-dose series, meaning 15.5% of our 12 to 15-year-old population is either fully or partially vaccinated. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this concludes my update, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Kerrigan, for your update this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about the status of the alternative care site and going forward, what will happen there?
Absolutely. So we do still maintain all of the equipment needed to operate the alternative care site. However, hospitalizations have remained relatively low and steady for the past couple of months. So instead of having the alternative care site ready to deploy within 72 hours, it will now take us about a week to deploy. We do maintain the contract for staffing of the ACS should it be needed, but it will take about a week to get that staffing in place.
Thank you. I was pleased to see so many members of the public who apparently have not had their vaccinations wear their masks this morning, as the state's guideline is that you should wear a mask in public places if you've not had your vaccination. But can you tell me about the effect? I worry most about our children, particularly those who are younger than those who are able to get the vaccination yet. So can you give us any update on the status of vaccinations for our children and who are available and who are not yet eligible for that?
Absolutely. Currently, Pfizer is the only vaccine that's been authorized for our adolescents, and currently only those that are 12 and older are eligible for vaccination. So those that are 11 and younger are not currently eligible for vaccination. So they should continue to wear their masks, and that's a big reason as to why the state's masking mandate requires that in youth settings that masks are still required regardless of vaccination status.
Is there any information about what is forthcoming about vaccinations for children younger than 11?
I do believe that both Pfizer and Moderna have submitted to see if they can get their vaccine authorized for the younger population, but we're still awaiting that final approval.
I was reading about the level of dosage that they're giving for younger children. I'm sure it's based on body size, but it's coming. I'm anxious for that to happen so we can rely on our kids being safer than they are. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your update this morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Kerrigan. Okay, are there any other reports or referrals from the board? Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to ask us this morning to officially oppose SB 419. SB 419 requires many changes to who may and may not work in the oil industry. The bill would hurt over 17,000 qualified oil workers. And as currently drafted, the bill would displace 60% of the existing workforce, even though many members of that workforce have been working for decades in a very safe manner with no industrial accidents or other problems. This isn't an onslaught against oil. It's an onslaught against the people who live here, the people we represent. We can no longer politely stand by and let them ever tighten their grip around the necks of our people. These are families, homes, and the education of our children. Whether or not we or our people can afford to retire is a question that will be at the forefront of them. What will they do if all of these people are displaced? How will we sustain the delivery of health care, fire protection, police response? All of this, our very way of life, is hanging in the balance. And those who want to do this to us aren't just in Sacramento, they are right here in Kern County, right in our midst. Look around Kern County, a coordinated, pervasive political agenda is also in full effect. So I suggest that we need to call it out and oppose it on every front. It isn't about oil companies. Oil companies have plenty of resources and the ability to protect their brand and their own futures. What this is about is our people. And we must do everything possible to protect them. Litigation, protest, public exposure, or even recalls. So today I am asking us to oppose SB 419, but make no mistake, we must fight back against all of this onslaught against our people. And defeat SB 419 is the next step. Defeating 419 is the next step in that process. So I would ask to refer to staff, prepare some opposition, and then let us decide if we're going to take an official position opposing SB 419. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well said, Supervisor Maggard. Thank you. Absolutely. Are there any other comments or referrals from the board? Okay. Seeing none, we'll now consider item number 20 under the County Administrative Office, and that is a response to Supervisor Couch's request at the June 8th board meeting concerning Prop 68 funding allocations for Kern County parks. And I'll turn it over to our CAO, Ryan Alsop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm happy to present a follow back to a discussion and request by Supervisor Couch at the last meeting, really following some comments under public comment the last meeting regarding Hart Park and Prop 68 funding. Just a real recap, quick recap of where we are with regard to Hart Park. I thought it would be relevant given the fact that Hart Park was the subject of some of those comments. Beginning in 2018, obviously, you recall that Hart Park was not in the best shape, both figuratively and literally. And your board was, this was about the time I joined the county, your board was considering a proposal brought by staff regarding a parking fee or an entrance fee out at Hart Park. That whole discussion, frankly, was a mess. And there was a decision made to move along. There were requests subsequent to that from the community to get some things done. Obviously, there were a lot of things that needed to be done out at Hart Park, and there were requests for a plan to be put together and implemented, and to have the community participate in that, which is exactly what we did. If you recall, it was a quite extensive public comment exercise that we went through in all areas of the county. That park's obviously a gem and used by many, many people all over the county. We took all of the information that was collected at these meetings through emails, phone calls, et cetera. Synthesized that information. We hired, if you recall, a design consultant to take that information and put it into some design and some recommendations. And really, most of the input that we received was around the public's request for just better maintenance, better infrastructure, better amenities out at Hart Park, among other things. And both all of that at the end of the day was brought before the Parks and Rec Commission and your board. And we also have along the way worked closely with the Kern River Parkway Foundation to get this thing rolling. So unlike, maybe other places around the state, other local governments, we're not sitting on our hands and letting this plan collect dust and not doing anything. It's a 3 to 5 year plan, and we're implementing it. We want to get it done. We have completed a sort of a revamp of our maintenance schedule out there, revamp of our public safety approach, increasing our patrols and the hours and how we're staffing that. Lots of infrastructure repair. I won't go into all the detail on that, but we have in the past. Lots of infrastructure repair. We've rehabbed all the restrooms, the event area. We've done a bunch of trailhead development and improvement to off-road parking areas and signage. We're in the middle of rehabbing the infamous Adobe House that's been in the news a lot. This is a WPA project, Ranger Station, that's been out there, a Ranger House, and that is being rehabbed. And that work continues. We're completing, really finalizing the improvements out there on the trailhead area and parking area with some additional areas for seating, signage, landscaping, et cetera. We will be redoing the entrances at both the east and west end of the parks this year, getting that done with new signage, lighting, landscaping, and updating all of that in a way that is really complimentary of the great park that is, so that people know when they're coming into both entrances where they are. And also, last but not least, we are in the process of working on a children's adventure area, which was a big request from the public, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So we've got a lot more to do, trail enhancements, improvements. We want to create a children's beach out at Hart Lake, fishing peninsula, dialing that out, finishing off the Adobe house. There are requests for other things related to that Adobe house and that area, really dialing out and creating a concession area for food trucks, picnics, music, other various infrastructure improvement projects. Obviously, I'm keeping this very high level. Those are all things we will continue to do, and all things that are part of the plan that was presented to both the Parks and Recs Commission and your board. Obviously, we bring back these things individually for your board to consider as we move forward. Some of the other deliverables, Mr. Lane was really kind of the catalyst to this report. And he's part of the Kern River Parkway Foundation. I wanted to talk a little bit about what your board has done for that foundation on issues that they have claimed they've been talking about for years. So since 18, your board has recognized all parkland along from Panorama Park East out through Lake Ming and the Kern River Campground as you've designated that as the Kern River Parkway, which was a request of that group, which I think is a considerable deliverable for them. You have designated the Kern River Riparian Preserve Park, which is a considerable acreage, really just east of Hart Park along the Kern River, through the Kern River Campground, along the dam and up to Piles. You've designated that the Kern River Riparian Preserve Park. And that's for the preservation of land and the limiting development and for riparian educational use. Lastly, the Shell Park infrastructure improvement that was done some years ago, which again was a request of that group, blocking off vehicle access on really the north. If you're standing at the park, you're looking across the river north. It's the area known as Shell Park, limiting vehicle access, off-road access, basically by putting up guardrail and limiting access out there and preserving that area. So to get into Prop 68, there are several different areas of Proposition 68. It's a very large grant for parks. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the statewide parks program within Prop 68 that's administered by the California Department of Parks and Recreation. There is a program cap of a little over $395 million, and applications for the phase that's available now were due March 12th. The county submitted applications for 5 grants totaling $37.5 million. We have submitted a grant for Lamont Park for $6.5 million to completely redo that park. We have submitted a grant for Heritage Park for a little over $8.2 million to completely redo that park. We have submitted a grant at Potomac Park for $7.38 million to completely redo that park. We've submitted a grant for Virginia Park for $8.4 million to completely redo that park, and Mojave East at $6.8 to completely redo that. All of the designs have been completed, and obviously these parks, the statewide parks program is really focused on parks that are in economically disadvantaged areas, which is a very important aspect of this particular program. And these parks were picked in consultation, obviously, with our park staff and our consultant that we have brought on to help us navigate the grant landscape on Prop 68. Really selected for the, smartly selected for the utmost competitiveness. These parks have the, whether it's their geographic position, their position as an economically disadvantaged park, their condition, their use. A lot of things have gone into the scoring and how these parks got selected. Oop. I want to go back. I'm not going to go back, but my last slide that I skipped over, let me see. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that from Hart Park and the Hart Park Improvement Plan to the Prop 68 program grants that I just described, we have really stepped up our game in getting community input. And it's really a credit to our parks staff, led by Jeff Hill, Carl Brewer. There are a bunch of people, individuals that are involved with upping our game in this area. And each of these grants that we've submitted, they spent considerable amounts of time, really hundreds and hundreds of hours, not only developing and writing these grants, but working with the communities themselves to actually design the parks, which is really sort of an unprecedented endeavor when it comes to our parks. These just give you an idea of what these things look like. It's hard to tell, but you can see there's a lot that goes into these grants. Again, in Lamont Park, which you're looking at, all of these amenities were developed specifically by the residents out there and community organizations listed on the last slide. Heritage Park, Potomac Park, Virginia Park, Mojave Park. It's the same situation for each of these parks. Prop 68 per capita grant. This is another area of Prop 68 that we are taking advantage of. This is also administered by the California Department of Parks and Recreation program with a funding cap of $185 million. These are non-competitive applications, so pretty much every county, not pretty much, every county gets a per capita allocation. The formula is, evident in the name. It's based on the population, and that's how the methodology is brought to bear in determining how much money a county will receive. We're taking that this one-time grant money, which is about $1.4 million, a little over $1.4 million, that's coming to Kern County, and using it to fund a phase in our Hart Park improvement plan. And specifically, we're using it to fully develop the kids' adventure area. This is a fully inclusive play area. And by fully inclusive, I'm talking about kids with disabilities. This is a play area for all children to enjoy for ages 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. While they're together, they're separate, including a splash pad experience along with seating and picnicking areas for families. This is being done in the tradition of Hart Park being the destination that it is. And really in line with the request from the public, which was made clear in our public input sessions for better amenities for children and families. It's also a safe, protected, and clean alternative to river recreation for children and families. So it's getting people out of the river and hopefully keeping them out of the river in a place where kids are begging their mom and dad to take them on a weekend because it's so fun. That project cost is projected to be about $3 million. Our plan is to use the $1.475 million in per capita grant funding we're receiving from the state and matching it with a $1.525 million parks designation funding match. This is parks designation money that your board has set aside into a parks designation, specifically for leveraging opportunities for Prop 68 and using it as a match and maximizing the potential and the efficacy really of how we utilize Prop 68 monies. So that's the plan with the per capita grant. And we are right in the process of developing conceptual designs. Those things are underway for the kids' play area. We're spending about $40,000 doing that. And all of that feeds in ultimately to the grant application that's provided to the state so that they're aware of what we're doing. And this has been shared with, obviously, we talk about this, and that's been shared with the Parks Commission. And again, it's part of our Hart Park improvement plan. Lastly, really the third area, Prop 68, that we're working on is really a regional parks program grant that there are many other parts of Prop 68. These are the three parks grant program areas that we're focused on. Again, it's administered by the California Department of Parks and Recreation. It's a program funding cap of about $23 million. Those applications are due on the 5th of November. We are working with our grant consultant to identify potential projects and parks for this program. We're focusing right now on Fraser Mountain Park, Buena Vista recreational area, and Lake Ming as really good candidates under the criteria and scope of that particular regional parks program. Obviously, we have other regional parks other than Hart Park, so we are focusing on trying to draw down some money from the state to make improvements in some of these other areas. And we will be undertaking the same kind of community input process this little bit later on this summer as we have with some of these other areas to complete and really kind of inform what our grant proposals look like on this. But these improvements really will kind of lie in the areas of improved walking paths, play structures, shade, canopies, improved camping amenities, infrastructure, upgraded restrooms, ADA improvements, things like that really need to get done. Lastly, over the last 4 years, really, 4 or 5 years since fiscal 2016-17, the county spent about a little over $14 million in total on infrastructure investment in parks. This is capital improvement. It's really kind of halved, $6.7 million at regional parks. That's regional campgrounds, not just regional parks that are free, but regional parks that you pay for, campgrounds, Samlin Ballpark, Kern County Museum. There's some money in there that we had to do work on the dams at Buena Vista and Lake Ming. Golf courses, we've spent about a little under $1 million over the last 5 years on our golf courses. And then the rest of the money, again, it's really kind of half, $6.6 million has been spent on neighborhood and community parks throughout the county, virtually touching every neighborhood park. And these have been improvements, some as substantial as new, improved basketball courts, soccer fields, playgrounds, walkways, parking lots, restrooms. In almost every case, ADA improvements, which are a requirement and important to get done, painting, repairs, things like that, just really upgrading tired infrastructure in addition to all those things. And that's made possible through a variety of funding sources. Obviously, your board has money that is set aside and designated to you to allocate toward that. It's general fund capital improvement money. In some areas, it may be some grant money. I'll end that just by saying that that's our plan. It's our strategy. It's not that we don't have a strategy. This is our strategy, and we're working very hard to get some things done. Not all supervisors. We have 5 supervisorial districts. Obviously, not all. Each of your districts are very unique in many ways. Some of you have big, expansive districts. Others have smaller districts. Some of you have more parks than others. Some of you have virtually no community or neighborhood parks, but a lot of regional parks. And of those facilities, you've got the facilities are at a different state, right? Some are better off than others. It's a variety of different. There's a mix of conditions and numbers of parks, et cetera, and different kinds of parks that really spread throughout all 5 supervisorial districts. So wanted to say that, and also, we here at the county, just from the CAO's office perspective, we would love to be able to do everything that we can possibly do all at once for all of our parks. We have a lot of need all the way throughout the county in various areas. All of our parks could use upgrading. And I would like to go from 0 to 100 with all of them all at once. It's just not possible. And so I say that only to say we're taking, we're eating the elephant one bite at a time. We have gone through a tremendous amount of work, really kind of setting Hart Park up to get some investment done out there. That is a regional park, really impacting all the districts and a lot of people that live here. And we're trying to get some things done, and we're focused out there. We're not ignoring everything else, but I'm saying that to say, as we move forward, as we continue to get some of the goals and objectives done in areas like Hart Park, and the things that we want to do out at Buena Vista, and other areas, we will be able to transition and to really focus in on getting some things done at other parks, going through a community process, putting together a 2, 3, 5-year plan, so that we can really make some nice things happen out at parks. So going forward, the county's focused on trying to draw down well over $40 million in Prop 68 grants for both regional and community parks between now and really the next year. We'll see where that stands. We will continue to utilize our parks designation that your board set aside, really to maximize the effectiveness of those Prop 68 grants. We will continue to prioritize and steer capital improvement projects at parks as part of the annual budget process, where we work with each individual member of your board to figure out your needs and where we do that. Your board, each of your districts will have $300,000 in the next budget in discretionary funding for investment in your supervisorial districts. That has not without precedent. That's been done in the past, and that is a way for you all to specifically work with members of your communities that you represent to figure out how best that money is spent on parks in your areas. And so it really gives you a chance to engage with community members, along with your appointed parks commissioner, to really figure out how you'd like to steer that money in the next budget year. And to comment on ARPA, I know that there were some comments under closed session about how we haven't really talked about how we're going to use any of that money. We did the last meeting, and as you recall, we announced that we're going to be spending up to $10 million in ARPA to make sure that we have free Wi-Fi access at all of our county parks, and that should be implemented and done by hopefully 2024, the end of 2024. And so that's really a look at Prop 68 and how we're positioned going forward with parks. And we're going to continue to keep your board appraised, along with the Parks Commission. And obviously, each time we have something going on or an investment to be made in a park, we bring that before your board, as we always do, for your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alsop. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Supervisor Couch?
I just say thank you for the report. I think the main concern expressed was if we applied as we are for the per capita funding, that segment, it might endanger our ability to fund the other parks if we were successful in obtaining those grants. And I've gotten your assurance that that is not the case. And correct?
Yes, sir. That's not the case.
And I think that's what I'm looking at this. What little I've learned about it from you, and what little I could glean from the comments. You really could look at this both ways. You all chose one direction, and that's fine. I'm not going to second guess that. And I just appreciate you bringing it back and giving us a report on it. And please keep us apprised of how we do on our other applications. Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, Supervisor Couch, we certainly will. And yes, we are. There's money that is going to be invested all across the county in parks, and the current State Parks Program grants doesn't allow for us to get any money for regional parks. Obviously, a place like Hart Park, while it's not in a disadvantaged area, people from disadvantaged areas go to that park that's not in a disadvantaged area for a lot of important reasons. So it's our opportunity to take some grab some of that grant money and put it toward a worthy endeavor like really getting our plan completed out at Hart.
Thank you, Supervisor Couch. Supervisor Mack.
Oh. I'm sorry, I was just going to you need a motion to receive and file. I'd make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Supervisor. Did you want to chime in, Supervisor Maggard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to, I'm not trying to put pressure on my colleagues, and I appreciate your support for all of this. You certainly share the vision, so I'm not, don't take my comments as a means of trying to put pressure on you guys. But I think the comments that were made when last we met deserve a pretty thorough explanation. So I have a couple of things I'd like to say this morning about those comments that were made last time. To say that our park dollars have not been equitably allocated or that they have been allocated in a way that's a detriment to the poor or underprivileged in our community is frankly naive, and at the very least naive, and more accurately a gross mischaracterization of what has happened. Each of us must apply priorities to not only to our own districts, but also to the greater good of the entire county. And we make votes all the time. We support all the time things that are district specific and things that are for the general good. Such efforts have substantially improved parks in Lamont, Lake Isabella, Ridgecrest, all throughout the county. And just in my district, with monies allocated to D3, we have put in spray parks at Sears Park in Oildale and at Pioneer Park in East Bakersfield, along with many other substantial improvements at those parks and also Potomac Park in East Bakersfield. We've also used district-specific money numerous times to improve Panorama Park and Hart Park, which are regional parks that are happen to be located in the 3rd District, but they are used by thousands of people beyond the borders of just the 3rd District. So to say that the funds have been used in such a way that's neglectful or hurtful to disserve the poor and underprivileged is frankly wrong. I don't want to belabor this now that we've had this discussion, and but I think it's just important to say to those that commented last time that what we are embarking on here is to complete the course on a process that was 3 to 5 years to improve Hart Park, and we're 2 years into it. So staying in the course and finishing that based on the very, very significant public input that we received, completing what we told the public we would do, I think is important. And I appreciate and congratulate and respect my colleagues for staying the course with that. I knew that they would because they too see the priority of it. So thank you very much, and I appreciate staff, I appreciate the Parks Commission, and I appreciate the people of our community who support making sure that these are completed projects. It's interesting that some people imply that these are not necessary and even frivolous, or that the people that go there don't deserve the level of amenities that we're trying to provide. I couldn't disagree more, and I'm grateful that my board sees it the same way. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item?
Good morning, everyone. Emma de la Rosa with Leadership Council. First, Emma de la Rosa. Yes, thank you. Supervisor Maggard, we are not naive, and we are not saying that folks that go to Hart Park are not deserving of great amenities. We are simply asking for an equitably distribution of funds. And, no one is in disagreement that Hart Park requires or needs those amenities. We all love Hart Park. So I do appreciate your time, Mr. Alsop and CEO, for the presentation and all of the great work that you all are doing. I do have some questions in regards to the impact that's going going to happen on the park designated funds. You said there was about 1.525 million that will be taken out of those from that funding. So what is the impact on the maintenance, on the continuing maintenance for the rest of the parks once that funding is pulled out of that pot of money? As we have brought up plenty of times, there are maintenance issues, especially with Casa Loma. That was the main concern from last 2 weeks. Casa Loma Park does not have any type of lights, and that is a public safety issue. And because of where it's located in between the city and the county, there seems to be little to no attention from either of you, and that's an issue. And we need to bring lights to that park. So that was one of the main concerns that we had. And then again, the per capita funding, because it's entitlement funding, you are going to receive it one way or another, Supervisor Couch. And so the money is going to come to the county. So if there are three funding applications, the per capita, the state parks, and then the regional parks, have you considered applying for the regional park funding to use for the Hart Park programs to ensure that the rest of the other parks and the rest of the districts can receive this entitlement funding? So those are a few of my suggestions and concerns. Also, I know that there are fees that are collected from boat races, events that happen at Lake Mean and at Hart Park. Where do those funds go? Do they go to the general fund? Are they used for continuing maintenance? It would be great if we can receive some information on that as well, so we know how much funding is available for folks to request maintenance at their parks. Thank you.
CEO also.
Through the chair, Ms. De La Rosa, if I might, I'm happy to talk to you anytime about so that you have a full understanding of parks. I mean, and just to answer your questions as a courtesy to you, no, this is the designation that was the set aside. The board specifically set aside money, knowing that Prop 68, it's one-time money that was set aside several years ago, and it's been sitting in an account. That's not going to have an impact at all on the maintenance at any other parks. On Casa Loma Park, there has been considerable investment. I don't have the paper in front of me, but I know that we have spent well over, I think it's probably $130,000 just in the last couple of years out at Casa Loma. It's definitely not being ignored. The lights that you're talking about is in this budget to get done, just to let you know. Again, I think that I'd really like to talk to you to kind of give you a rundown on all the investment, because I think there's a lot more in these parks than you may realize.
Thank you, Mr. Alsop. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we already have a motion and a second, so please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Perez.
Okay, having no more items to consider in open session, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to consider County Administrative Office items 47 through 49 and County Council items 50 through 52. Without objection, we are adjourned.
Final launches at the end of 1973 and early into 74. They're up for